UFC Qatar is happening next, and I'm excited for this one. I'll be honest, man. These Middle Eastern cards, dude, as problematic as they may be, they're putting together some fucking bangers for us, man. So I can't even be that mad. Even though I know for a fact that the stadium they're fighting in probably cost the lives of at least 5 unpaid laborers to build, but we'll pour one out for them as we get into this card. But this prediction video will be for them. That is what we're here to do, in fact. Make predictions for this entire card. Starting with the prelims, working our way to the main event. Very, very good cards, I said. So much so I made a video on how the goodness of this card earlier. So if you want to check that out and see, my initial reactions, you can go watch the video. I can put it like right there or some shit if you really, really think what you want to do it. But let's get into these prelims here first, man. Starting with the first fight. Marek, what's his name? Bujlo versus Denzel Freeman. Happening at heavyweight. I'm liking the amount of heavyweight prospects we've been getting in these last few events, man. It's really nice to see them kind of just rebuild this division. And these are two good fighters to make that happen, so I'm excited for this. I've also been pretty bad at predicting the first fights of these cards, but I think this is a guaranteed hit, bro. I'm going to go Denzel Freeman to win this fight. I think he's just more skillful, and Bujlo is a bit more of a grappler, and Freeman has demonstrated in his fights he is able to reverse into control of his own or defend the takedowns. And so, yeah, I like his odds against someone that is mostly just kind of a blobby guy who doesn't really showcase a lot of skill, aside from having some heavy hands, like, the usual type of heavyweight fighters you think of. I like Freeman's skill. Like, his skill looked a lot better. He had some more impressive wins over guys that are in the UFC, like Stephen Asplund. So, I like his odds. And he was in the NXT program for a while. Never wrestled a single match, but he was there. So, yeah, I like his odds. Up next, we've got a fucked up order, I think, but we've got Naurdiev Aliev versus Shaquem Shamrock. This is tough for Shamrock here, bro. Shamrock has some pretty explosive kicks in his arsenal. He has some keeps range really well, and is aggressive. But I just think Aliev fights too much like Khabib, and that he goes for the takedown, is able to hold you down, go for ground and pound, and win by decision. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Naurdiev Aliev to win this fight. It's a tough matchup for the guy, it really is. Despite being, he is taller, and I think theoretically better at the striking. I just see, Aliev is just so tapped into that kind of fighting style, and, obviously he trains not there, but he's just kind of he just has that mentality to him, so I'm gonna go with Naurdiev Aliev to win this fight. I think he's got everything it takes to make it, at least in this win, to eke out a win out here. So that's tough for Shamrock. Next fight, we got Ryan Loder versus Ismail Naurdiev. This one was a tough one, man. This one's kind of a toss-up. Naurdiev. I'm actually going to go with Ryan Loder to win this fight. I think Loder is technically better. I do see him I think he could be chinned. But he has solid wrestling and not the best striking. Is easily hit, don't make no mistake about it. But I fancy the grappling game more towards Ryan Loder. I think he will do better in the wrestling in that state, and he'll be able to get takedowns on someone like Ismail Naurdiev, who hasn't been the most impressive looking fighter in these last few fights. He lost to Jun Young Park and eked out a win against Bruno Silva. I just don't see a lot going for this guy right now that really makes me say, wow, dude, this guy's gonna be someone really big in the UFC. You know what I mean? Compared to someone like Ryan Loder, who's Almabayev and beaten Robert Valentin. He's beaten UFC level opponents already. I think a Bruno Silva decision win isn't really the most impressive win you could have. And then, of course, losing to Ju Young Park. I just don't favor that matchup really well for him. I haven't really seen that much from Ismail Naurdiev that I've really liked. So I'm going to go with Ryan Loder to get the win out here. Purely by the wrestling game, purely by the grappling game, spamming takedowns and getting control and getting that time over him. So I'm going to go with Ryan Loder to win this fight. Up next, this is one I was looking forward to. I was really, in my initial video, I was scared for Alexander Topuria as he goes up against Bekzat Almakhan, someone who lost to Umar Nurmagomedov but was able to get a knockdown over him, still the only person in the UFC to say they can. And, yeah, man, I'm gonna go with Topuria to win this. I think it is still, it's still pretty close. I'm not super confident in the pick itself, but I think Topuria is the cleaner striker. I think he's a better boxer. I do expect Bekzat to be kind of powerful and explosive, but I think Topuria will read him a bit better. He'll be more accurate. He'll jab. He won't overcommit to any exchanges that I think Bekzat can do sometimes. And I think he's a good enough grappler to be able to defend anything that Bekzat would be able to throw at him from the grappling or wrestling wise. So I'm gonna go with Alexander Topuria to win this. There are aspects of, when you look at his last fight, right, with Colby Thickness, there are aspects of Colby Thickness's game that I like, especially with the wrestling department, and I think Alexander Topuria being able to put the performance he had wrestling-wise against Colby Thickness, makes me think that, he's going to do pretty well against someone like Bekzat Almakhan as well, who, beat Brad Katona. He's not in the UFC no more, lost to Umar, and these aren't UFC fights, so I'm going to go with Alexander Topuria to win this fight. Up next, dude, Abdulrahman Yakhaev versus Rafael Cerqueira. Listen, man, if you watched my Contender Series Best Prospects of the Class video, this was my guy at light heavyweight, dude. This was the guy I said, you know what, yeah, this is the guy that's going to go as far as, and, just for those reasons, I had to call it the UFC. I had to call up Hunter Gamble and say, hey, Hunter, give my guy a bit of a layup here, you know what I mean? Let's just set a bar real quick. Let's just make this guy look as good as we fucking can by putting him against the biggest jobber of the light heavyweight division right now in Rafael Cerqueira, dude. This guy, look at these losses, man. KO TKO by punches to Ivo Aslan, which is a loss that is aging poorly, unfortunately. But Modestus Bukauskas is getting better, but still KO TKO combination punches. And then Julius Walker decision loss. Yeah, man. And you're going up against 7-0, 24-year-old, more reach than you. Dude, this guy's just winning. I'm sorry, my guy is just winning. It would be genuinely, if Abdulrahman does not come away with the win here, you should just retire. Because, what does that say about you, bro? You're not as good as Julius Walker? You can't, we're not there, bro. You may as well just hang it up. I'm sorry if you let this guy beat you, bro, because this guy's about to be out of the UFC after this. This is his swan song, really. So I expect Abdulrahman Yakhaev to do amazing first round finish, amazing in this fight, hopefully. But I'm very excited to see him fight because my reputation's on the line here, dude. This is the guy I backed up. I need to see him through. I need to see it through, bro. I just need to see it. So I'm gonna go with Abdulrahman Yakhaev to win this fight. Up next. Oh, this is a crazy one. Bro, you guys remember Alex Perez, man? You guys remember the Figueiredo fights and the Pantoja fights and the Mokaev loss? And then the Nicolau win was actually really cool. I have Almabayev to win this fight, man. Damn it. Listen, okay, so Perez, I'll just bring this up a little bit. Perez has some really good wrestling ability, some very nasty leg kicks, a good checking ability as well. So he's good at throwing and dishing out and taking kicks, and has some powerful hands, and probably does have the boxing advantage. But when you look at the people he's lost to, people like Figueiredo, people like Pantoja, people like Mokaev, people like Tetsuro Taira, it's people that chain wrestle, they spam takedowns and they clinch. Perez always just struggles to really assert himself in fights. He really struggles to really, keep pressure on, keep guys back against the cage, and then he turns out getting clinched himself. So I just kind of see Almabayev being able to do that because he's such a high output machine with his takedowns. He averages a lot of takedown attempts a fight, and he's really good at being able to avoid damage and applying pressure himself. I just think Almabayev fits in that category of fighters that can beat a style like Alex Perez. Unfortunately, so I'm sorry to say. I hope Alex Perez wins. There's a lot of guys here that I don't think are gonna win that I'm really rooting for. That I hope I'm wrong, but I think Almabayev gets this win pretty easily. Up next, Sagid. Oh boy, Nicholas Dalby versus Sagid. Izak. How does this work? Sagid Izagakhmaev. Izagakhmaev. Sagid Izagakhmaev. I'm gonna go with that. I think that sounds good enough. Sagid Izagakhmaev versus Nicholas Dalby. Interesting fight, man. This is an interesting one. I'm going with Sagid to win this fight, bro. I think Sagid is just very skillful and dangerous. Obviously, like, if you were tapped into one a couple years ago, he was going around there, you know, fucking laying out some Japanese legends like Shinya Aoki and some other guys. So he's very good. He's very talented. He's a very good prospect to really get excited for for the future of the welterweight division. And, you know, Dalby himself, he's coming back rather quickly from a pretty bad KO loss. The Randy Brown fight was 6 months ago, which is, I guess, pretty long, but, like, still, like, Randy Brown himself just fought again, so I feel like you'd really want to take your time, especially when you are 41 years old, brother. Yeah, I think to go up against, like, a really, like, sought-after prospect that's going on such a tear, is 22-2. It's just it's tough, man. Because if you look at the stretch, this is all within a year, too, man. Like, these are 3 months apart, all of them, like, you're kind of setting yourself up badly here, man. But I get it, though. Now, the position Dalby's in with his career, you know, being on the cusp of, like, reaching the rankings and stuff like that, I do kind of get the idea of, like, wanting to really step in and showcase, like, against a good prospect himself. But I just kind of think you're setting yourself up for failure here, brother. Who was your other loss? It was Rinat Fakhretdinov. Oh, that was a better performance, but, you know, just based off what I saw with the Randy Brown fight, I think it's going to be a long, tough fight for you here. I see Sagid being able to win this by probably a smothering decision, like a 30-27 is what I'd say. But so hopefully, hopefully Dalby still has still has something to give to this promotion, to this fight. We'll see. I'm rooting for you, brother. Up next, though, Luke Riley versus Bogdan Grad. Huh. Interesting. Luke Riley it's a pretty sought after cage warrior prospect. Obviously Bogdan Grad is 2 fights into his UFC career. He's beaten Lucas Alexander and lost to Mohamed Naimov, which is interesting. This is a toss-up, man. This is actually really tough. You could make an argument for either guy to win this fight. But I'm going to give this to Luke Riley here. Just if you look at the size of these two guys, the thing with Luke Riley is that he's really good at fighting at range. He's really good at being it's just like being able to keep people away, but still throwing damaging shots. And Grad has kind of been able to struggle with that. I don't think he's gonna be too good at the range against Riley. And I'm also just kind of banking on this is kind of a banking on moment here. I'm just gonna I'm gonna make an assumption here, right? I'm gonna assume that Riley has improved his game enough coming into the UFC, and from everything I've seen from the Cage Warriors, he has the ability to do so. So I'm just going to expect him to be able to do that. I'm going to expect Riley to control the pace. I'm expecting Riley to continue his momentum going into the UFC and not slow down just because you're entering the UFC, just because you're finally fighting a guy that has a cardio ability, unlike those in Cage Warriors. I'm expecting Riley to be able to control the pace, be very good in the pocket off the clinch, and his grappling is improving, but I think the biggest benefit to Luke Riley's game is his body shots, his body strikes, and the combination punches he's able to throw. Those are all really good. And like I said, his grappling is improving. The biggest weakness in his game right now is his takedown defense. He is able to be taken down and controlled for some time, but like I said, I think his grappling is improving. So I'm gonna go into this fight expecting Luke Riley to continue his good showcase of good fighting. He is a very entertaining fighter, so I think he'll be able to continue that as well. But yeah, man, it's just some big expectations for Luke Riley with this one, because this is a pretty sought after prospect. If you're a Cage Warriors viewer, like, you know this guy. Like, he's had a very good run in the last few years of his career. So big things I expect from Luke Riley in this fight. It's a close fight though. Like, you really could make an argument for either. Like, I do think you could argue that Grad is just such a good grappler and won't gas out compared to some of the other fighters that Riley faces. That, like, you could make an argument that Grad will win this fight. I'm just gonna pull a big assumption card here and just think, oh, Luke Riley 11-0, looked good on the feet. Maybe is improved enough grappling wise that he's able to still survive an exchange with the Grad and then piece him up on the feet. So here's open, bro. Up next. Holy man, every real fucking sweaty MMA nerd is very excited for this, bro. Tagir Ulanbekov versus the fucking GOAT, dude. Kyoji Horiguchi. For those of you who don't know, I'm just gonna go on his page real quick and look at his original run in the UFC. 7-1. Damn, he lost Patch and Mix. That's tough. This was a while back, man. 2016, dude. He was big in the fucking flyweight division. Unfortunately, suffered a very last-minute loss to Demetrius Johnson with that armbar. An amazing fight. You should really watch that fight he had with Demetrius Johnson. It was fantastic stuff. And then continued to beat down all the fucking flyweights before leaving the promotion, going back to Japan, going to Rising. Beat Manel Kopp, beat Bennett Ngayan in 2019. I guess he was kind of old at that point. You know, beat Kaya Sakura, went over to Bellator, lost some guys. Then he beat Sergio Perez. He redeemed that loss. I think also he could probably redeem the loss over Patch Mix now. But he's fighting Tagir Ulanbekov. So there's some context for you there. Thing is, though, this is also kind of a toss-up. I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov to win this fight, though, unfortunately, again. Like I said, a lot of guys. I hope Kyoji wins this, man. I really do. But I just think that Tagir has the size and the reach advantage. A 5-inch reach advantage is a lot in flyweight. That's going to help him a lot on the feet and defending some of the takedown in the wrestling of Kyoji Horiguchi. I do think Kyoji will be able to land takedowns, but I think Tagir will refuse to stay down for long, come back those, get up. And then also worry about Kyoji, you know, his chin. I really do worry about his chin here. He's 35. He has been, like, caught in knockouts before. Like, that's one of the things that's, like, the big problem with him is that he does get caught with strikes. So if he just overcommits a bit too much, which he does. If you look at the fight with Sergio Perez, if you look at the fight with Kaya Sakura, he can just get caught going in for something. So I'm worried about that enough to say that Tagir will probably pull off a win here. It might just be like a 29-28 decision. Just looking better on the feet. I think maybe Kyoji will have better moments of like shinier moments on the feet, but I think Tagir is gonna be a lot more controlling, a lot more like, you know, keeping the jab back, keeping them back with the jab. And Kyoji will have moments where he like kind of runs in and fucking throws a good combination or something, like a good overhand or something. But I'm gonna go with Tagir Ulanbekov to win this fight. I think he's gonna do well enough on the feet and then getting out of all the grappling that Kyoji Horiguchi throws at him to win the fight. Oh my god. Up next, Aldo Cortez Acosta versus Shamil Gaziev. When I first saw that this was announced, I was like, damn, dude. This is like a Cortez Acosta taking this fight is kind of like a fuck you move to Shamil Gaziev, you know? Because it's like, I don't think this is a fight that's really going to benefit Salsa Boy's career in any real way, other than just beating a guy that's lower level than you and just keeping him down specifically, you know what I mean? So I was just kind of like, damn, bro. You're really going to do this to my boy like that? But the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking, like, you know, and more I was watching Shamil Gaziev fights, I was like, he's actually a very underrated heavyweight. And I think that is mostly due to his physique, but man, he is very well-rounded in his striking and wrestling ability, specifically the defense. And he's also super tough and can throw powerful punches himself. So now I'm just kind of sitting here debating what's going to play a bigger factor into this fight. Obviously, Shamil also doesn't have very good cardio, and if he is taken down, he will probably just lose that round. So it's really gonna come down to how Cortez Acosta approaches this fight. If he's gonna like do his usual like just kind of safe playing, like fighting at range, just throwing jabs, you know, like that kind of thing, or if he's gonna do like he did in his last fight with Ante Delija, just kind of come in and actually fight, like try to apply pressure and then try to go for a knockout win here. And will that work against someone like Shamil Gaziev? And also the being on a 3 days notice too plays a pretty big plays a pretty big factor here as well. So I think I'm still gonna lean Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think if he's gonna take this fight, he's not gonna just try to play it real safe. I think he is gonna try to apply pressure. And either way, I do think he's gonna be able to like go for takedowns, maybe like just threaten it. It's just gonna be a matter of if he can apply pressure enough to kind of keep Shamil Gaziev at bay, because Shamil's going to try to move forward. I just know that for a fact. He's going to try to move forward with his striking. He's going to try to he's just going to try to apply pressure himself. And I think Waldo Cortez Acosta's best way of avoiding that is either just applying the pressure himself with some good punches, or he's going to try to just tire out Shamil Gaziev up against a clinch or something like that. So I'm going to bank on that happening. Again, I do think Cortez Acosta is a bit more skillful than Shamil Gaziev, but I think, Shamil just has that ability to kind of come out of nowhere and just, like, apply pressure and kind of surprise a lot of his opponents sometimes. Like, the original fight between Gaziev and Spivak, I was probably going to go with Shamil Gaziev as well, because, like, thinking about the performance that Spivak had against Waldo Cortez Acosta, which was actually kind of close. He didn't look too bad in that fight, but I think we're going to see something very similar to that Sergey Spivak-Waldo Cortez Acosta fight in this stance, but I think Gaziev will probably do a little bit better, and I think it'll probably be like a 29-28 decision win for Waldo Cortez Acosta. I do think Cortez Acosta will look better in this fight, though, than he did like some of his other decision wins. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's a tough one, man. That's a real tough one, dude. You'd really never know with these two guys. You just never know what you're going to get. Speaking of... Not exactly, actually. That's pretty much the opposite. Jack Hermansson versus Miktabek Orolbai. What? I'm actually just begging this guy to adopt the name like the fucking caveman or the... I don't want to say Neanderthal, because that's kind of derogatory, but... Caveman would kind of go hard, I can't lie. I'm going to go with Miktabek Orolbai to win this fight. I think... It's tough, man. Jack Hermansson is kind of a tough guy to figure out. The thing with Hermansson, though, is I think his chin is kind of disintegrating. It's just nowhere near the same level it was before, and we saw that in the Gregory Rodriguez fight. Hermansson is good at the punch and run. That's kind of his trademark thing. It's just kind of throw the jab and then just try to avoid any damage coming back at him. He's not really looking for damage on the feet, just kind of looking for opportunities to get the takedown in as well and utilize his good grappling ability. But I think, if you're a skilled enough fighter, you have enough power, and you can track him down and try to predict his movements, I think you have the ability to knock him out. And we're going to see if Miktabek Orolbai has that ability, He'll definitely have the speed advantage. I think he's going to try to threaten the overhand a lot, which will kind of throw Jack Hermansson off his game when he's trying to back up and, do his usual stuff. And I think Orolbai will have enough defensive grappling that even when Hermansson shoots a takedown, he's going to be able to kind of just like be pressed up against the cage maybe, but not fully go down. I do kind of expect Miktabek to kind of just throw him off them in that kind of aspect. And another factor going into this fight is the fact that Hermansson is coming down a weight class at 37 years old. And Miktabek is coming up a weight class, so he's going to feel way more comfortable in the octagon compared to Hermansson probably feeling a bit worse for wear here, and probably even more of a weaker chin now that he's gone down a weight class. So I think Orolbai has every chance to succeed and beating Hermansson in this fight. If he doesn't, that is very unfortunate and kind of a bad look for him, because everyone's saying Hermansson is kind of like not crazy for taking this fight, but kind of like if you're being realistic, I think Hermansson's kind of overestimating his abilities at this point in his career, man. Like, he is old. He doesn't fight often. And again, his last fight, how long ago even was that? That was 4 months ago. He was out cold. So, and now he's cutting down to 170. So I think there's a lot of expectation here, and rightfully so, though. So we'll see how Miktabek Orolbai, if he's the real deal, he'll be able to get the finish here, is what I'm gonna say. On to the next fight. Volkan Oezdemir versus Alonzo Menifield, baby. This is awesome. I'm excited for this one a lot. I am very excited for this. Volkan Oezdemir is a very good gatekeeper. Obviously, we know that when you look at the people he's lost to, Krylov and Oldberg are top level guys, and the people he's beaten, Johnny Walker, Bogdan Guskov, and Paul Craig are not top level guys. You know, it's very easy. You can see that, right? And so it's just kind of a question of where Alonso Menifield falls, with what category he falls in between those two guys. And I do think he falls into that lower half category. I do think Volkan Oezdemir wins this fight. Like I said, Oezdemir is a good gatekeeper. Both guys are pretty chinny, so I think either man could just, catch the guy with something crazy out of nowhere. But I do think Volkan is technically better as a striker, and his very good defensive grappling. Menifield himself has solid power, but I think Oezdemir will be quicker and touches more to the body with the kicks. So just be a bit more active, just trying to figure Menifield out, throw him off his game, be a bit more accurate maybe. And Menifield will try to go for clinches probably. And that's when I expect Oezdemir to do better in the pocket and also just getting out of the clinches. So throwing a surprise elbow as he kind of disengages the clinch. You know what I mean? When he has him backed up against the cage. That kind of situation. You know what I mean? So I kind of see that happening for Oezdemir. I don't really see Menifield being able to have a lot of success. Like I said, both guys could just absolutely clock the other guy. So I'm going to say, though, I think Oezdemir will win this fight. I think he's going to be able to delay the inevitable so far in his career and deny Menifield the ability to kind of get to that next level as a light heavyweight. Unfortunately so, man, but that is the fight game. Co-main event time. Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, versus Ian Machado Garry. I keep fucking forgetting this guy's nickname in the future. And I think if you do that, man, you're such a bastard. Anyway, I'm picking Ian Machado Garry to win this fight. Unfortunately so, man. There's so many factors. They're just playing in advantage of Ian Machado Garry. I just think Ian Machado Garry has the speed advantage. He has the reach advantage. He is the better striker than Bilal Muhammad. And he has the advantage in a 3-round fight. You remember Bilal Muhammad tweeted out saying that Ian Machado Garry would not fight a 5-round fight. He didn't want to, which I think is fucking crazy, but it is smart because Machado Garry historically has not done so well in the championship rounds of fights. So I expect in a 3-round fight, Machado Garry will have the advantage in that way as well. I think he's going to avoid Bilal on the feet long enough. He has some solid grappling and will probably have a better game plan, even though both fighters here have very good fight IQs. I just think Garry will be able to create distance and still get off enough damage and defend the grappling while to be able to get a win here, basically. He's not as good as defending the takedown, I should say that about Ian Garry, but he is good at grappling and the reverse grappling, getting out of the positions that, some of these guys put him in. And he can scramble and well and turn around and clinch contempt into control as well. We saw that in the Shavkat fight. And then Garry can also utilize kicks, man. So I just kind of expect him to be able to, just piece him up, just be able to reverse everything that Bilal throws at him, honestly, and then just kind of be able to control him long enough to make himself look better across the 3 rounds and get a win. Bilal still has some good opportunities to will probably still have some good opportunities to make himself look good here. He's really good in the stance, feinting the level change, just switching stance, and then throwing body kicks to kind of push the opponent against the fence. So maybe Bilal can find ways to just utilize those kind of things a bit more. Utilize the setting up of a takedown rather than the takedown itself. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you go for the takedown, Gary's going to try to find a way to get onto your back and just try to switch that and turn it into his control. So, like we said, we saw him do that against Shavkat, and then we saw Edwards do that against Bilal. So, for 1 round, but still, I worry about how much control Bilal's going to be able to get once he does get the takedowns. And I don't think he's going to be standing and striking with this guy a lot because, that worked so well against him in the JDM fight. So, those reasons, I'm going to go with Ian Machado Garry to win. I don't like either of these guys, man. I'm just looking at these two. It's ugh. Fucking annoying prick versus boring asshole. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, man. I don't like either of these guys, but I'm gonna go with Ian Machado Garry to win this fight. I guess I hope Bilal wins, dude. If it's an entertaining fight, both guys do well, then that'll be awesome. Finally, though, main event. Armin, I don't even know how you say his nickname. Alhalkalakets Tsarukyan versus the Hangman Dan Hooker. Unfortunately, man, I think this is a very cut and dry fight. I'm really hoping this is as good of a fight as it can be. That's really all I want. I want this fight to be entertaining, man. Because about this whole card, I just sense I sense some bullshit's gonna go down, dude. I don't like the feeling of this. I don't like the feeling this card gives me a little bit. Like I feel like I'm not noticing something I should, you know. But in regards to this fight, I'm gonna pick Arman Tsarukyan to win this. Like I said, very cut and dry. I think Hooker is at a speed disadvantage. I think Tsarukyan, while they're standing up, Hooker's going to try to throw some blitzes at him, and I think Tsarukyan's going to duck under those, take him down, scramble, end up on top, rack up control time, go for the ground and pound. Hooker's not the kind of fighter that's going to be able to keep up a high pace at this point in his career. He's really just more of a stand and bang guy, just not as much movement, heavy movement, fast striking, just fucking brutal punches back and forth between the two guys. He's kind of more of that speed, and I think Tsarukyan still has a lot of that speed to go. I will say about Dan Hooker as well, he does have some very good front body kicks, but those might not be able to work later into the fight. He could maybe defend the takedowns, but I do think he will get taken down at least once in this fight. And like I said, I think Tsarukyan's just going to have a bunch of control time on him, just beating this guy's fucking skull into the canvas. Probably enough to get a TKO win. I'm not going to say that for sure. I think Hooker obviously is a very tough dude, but again, he's another one of those guys that just wears the damage on very badly. So I think even a doctor stoppage, which I hope is not the case, but that's in the realm of possibility in this fight. Still though, I think I'm going to go with Tsarukyan to win this fight. I like I said, there's not that much to dissect about this fight. I just think Tsarukyan is quicker. He's more he's just flashier a little bit, you know what I mean? Hooker is just kind of he has a tree trunk sometimes, you know? And I think he can just get caught at some points, like we saw in the Arnold Allen fight. Or I think, did he get knocked down in the Gamrot fight? I believe he did. So I worry about those aspects from Dan Hooker. Obviously, I want Hooker to win. This guy's one of my favorite fighters. He's probably a lot of people's favorite fighters, but I just see Tsarukyan after 18 months away, even longer than, actually no, it's about 18 months away, just coming back in, reading this guy completely, taking him down, getting on top, ground and pound, TKO win. Yeah, that's what I predict will happen. All in all though, this is a very, very good card. I feel good about my picks. Like I said, I hope a lot of these guys don't win, but I think they will. Let me just see which ones are locks again, man. Definitely Freeman. I keep saying this for every fight, and I'm almost always wrong. But I think Freeman is absolutely going to get this win here. I think Saigid wins as well. Aliev is a pretty fucking good prospect to watch out for. There's a lot of good prospects on this card, actually, which makes me pretty excited. I could see Naurdiev winning this fight, so I won't say Loder is a lock. I also won't say Topuria is a lock. I think Begzad also has a lot to offer and provide, kind of challenge Topuria. I won't say Tagir's a lock either. I'll say Horiguchi has a chance. He always has a chance. I think maybe the striking does kind of come out and shine against Tagir. Maybe it could. I think Abdulrahman is definitely a lock. I'd put money on that. This one isn't. Bogdan Grad is still a step up in competition for Luke Riley, so I'll say that he has a chance, and he's also very tough. He's a very tough dude, so maybe Riley won't shine as big. And like I said, this is my biggest you know what I mean? I'm going on a limb here for Luke Riley, I think. Yeah, Almabayev definitely wins this fight, I think. Sorry, Alex Perez, I hope you win. I'm not too confident in this, but I'll say Waldez Cortez Acosta wins this as well. Again, Shamil could just absolutely surprise everyone and just pull out a win here. I do think Midabek Orolbai is a lock. I do think he will have a very good chance at beating Jack Hermansson. Same with Volkan Oezdemir. I think he's got a very good chance as well. And then also Machado, Garry, and Tsarukyan, I think are all locks. So This is going to be a very interesting main card, man. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys think of the card itself and my predictions down below. And what are your predictions for this card? How well do you think some of these fighters are going to do if you're just begging on a Kyoji Horiguchi win, which I am definitely as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be very fun. 8 a.m. watch in local time. Can't wait for that. Only 3 cards left this year, man. Fuck. God damn. That's tough. Anyway, here are some of my other videos, my other predictions and reactions, including the UFC 322 reaction, which you should definitely watch. That might be the video that YouTube recommends you watch right here. That might just be the one, so you should definitely go watch that. And then subscribe to the channel right here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you want to see more, press that button. That's going to do it for me, though. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.